Okay. There really should be like a testing mode on
There
Twitch where you're not
kind
like
of
broadcasting or
is.
recording.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, everybody can hear us now. Not that anybody's here, but everybody who is here can hear us now. And it's
Good
just
for
the
us.
question of do because I can do this in like I can see everything just fine in my thing. You know, my thing.
Your
It's
thing, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
my
We've
thing.
we've talked about your thing.
We talked
Unlike
about my
that
thing.
other thing.
Yeah. Well, the other thing we just don't talk about because that's just rude. But okay. So now that looks like it's properly set up. That's good. And now I can open up my other browser, which is different. And I can switch out of this for now and go back to the starting. We haven't started yet, so there's nobody here. But if there was somebody here, we haven't started yet. We're working on that. Just kind of.
To reduce the risk of my computer freaking the fuck out on. All right. Welcome to Plot Armor, a new single-player D&D stream that we have started. I'm Avalon Willowbloom. I'll be the dungeon master, mistress. Anyway, for this, it's a homebrew 5e campaign set in our collaboratively created homebrew world. This is Tiff.
Hi.
You want to talk about you at all or anything?
No, not really. It's like, it's always kind of weird because like we know that we're doing this as like a session 0. We know that we're not really like we're talking to an empty room right now, which is totally fine. But we know that it might not be like there might be people watching this later, so it's kind of awkward.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So in the future, when I know what to say and stuff, we'll probably revisit things. But we still thought that like a session 0 would be a good place to get started from, so that people kind of, well, in the future, if people actually care, when you come back and look at things, you'll be like, hey, cool, how did this start? Well, here you go.
Right.
It's fun.
So yeah, this, as she said, session 0. Sort of an intro to the world, intro to her character, talk a little bit about maybe house rules or whatever, and then be about playing a little bit.
Yay.
I'll go ahead and start with an introduction to our environment. We will be playing in the Nation of Drayk. This archipelago nation is dominated by 2 main islands, Quar and Celeste, each with their own capital city that act as sort of sisters, overseeing the various aspects of the nation. Dragonhead and Dragonstone are the names of the cities. Dragonhead is where we'll be begin playing, and it'll sort of be the center of a lot of the story, at least for a while. Dragonstone is somewhere we might go later. It's unclear at the moment, but between the two, Dragonhead is the magical and sort of political center of Drake. It's controlled by the Comet-Tail family, your family, Tiff. It's built around the base of Mount Celeste, for which the island itself is named. It was the mountain was once an active volcano, but sometime during the Dark Ages, which we'll go into more probably next session, maybe the one following that. But sometime during the Dark Ages, it was forced into dormancy through powerful primordial magic. It now exists as the foundation of a city deeply steeped in magic of every kind, from the divine magic of clerics to the scholarly magic of wizards, and all the way to the druidic magic drawn from nature and the stars themselves. At the head of this magic sits the Comet-Tail family. Though outwardly appearing human, the Comet-Tail family has crossed with otherworldly entities of nearly every sort, and as such, it's not uncommon for children from that family to be born as human plus, like tieflings, Asimar, Kalishtar, etc. And sorcery is very common in the family as well. Across the channel is the island of Quar, with its capital city, Dragonstone. Dragonstone is the militaristic center of the country, where a lot of military and industry comes from, and probably the most important, in terms of the world at large, factor of Drake's, what am I looking for here? Profitability? I don't know. I don't like how dry that sounds, but you get my point. And the island of Quar and the city of Dragonstone is led by the Igni family, primarily a clan of dwarves that guard the secret to a unique resource on Quar called weave-marked obsidian, otherwise known as Arkstone, a rare mineral that, well, like I said, is unique to Quar and is primarily used in enchanting and engineering. The Comet-Tail and Igni families lead Drake together, cooperating and striving to develop and improve the country in every way possible. As part of this commitment, it is customary to each generation for the eldest child from each family to come together and travel both Quar and Celeste to learn as much as they can about and from their people. Oh, I had another thing I wanted to say first. Whoopsie daisy. Good lord. I need to pay more attention to my own systems. Anyway, this practice of exploring the country is what leads us to your character. You are Kasji Comatale, the heiress to your family name and the city of Dragonheart, or Dragonhead. Good lord. Who named these things? Anyway, you are the eldest child, and so far only child to your family, born Kalishtar with a quarry companion that has been off and on associated with your family for generations.
I'm gonna have to change my character then, because I thought I was an Asimar.
You are an Asimar. I'm terribly sorry. My memory is awful. Thank you for calling me out on
It's
that.
like, wait a second. I've got, okay, cool. Go get a quarry then. Don't
This
mind me.
is why we're doing a session 0.
Right?
Apparently, even I don't know what's going on.
That's why we're doing. Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, you are an Asimar. Celestial ties to the family are very common, as you know. You are preparing to go on your walking tour of the island of Celeste in the coming couple of years or whatever. You are intending to travel to all of the major cities and towns of your island and learn as much as you can about your people before moving on to the island of Quar. However, before we get to that, your city and probably the other cities on the islands as well are coming into a festival, but we'll get to that in a moment. Why don't you go ahead and tell me about your character?
Always putting. I'm like, I know I'm supposed to do this and have my session 0s and stuff, but I'm always really, really terrible at doing this at start. So.
Oh yeah, I set the bar so high, didn't I?
You always do. You're always just like, boom, and I'm just like.
You're giving me too much credit. You're giving me too much credit. And yourself not enough. But go on.
So the way that I normally work with my characters, I'm terrible with this. I don't generally have much in the way of backstory. I don't generally have much in the way of, like, understanding who my character is until after I've had a chance to sit down and play with them for a little while. I know lots of people are really good about, like, oh, I have a personality, I have this, I have that, I have pages of backstory. I suck at that. I tend to build backstory as I go, and as my characters, this is going to sound weird too, but as my characters kind of tell me who they are. But I
get that.
But
part of it depends on how the dice roll, right?
a lot of it depends on how the dice roll, for sure. And I've often found that in the past, if I have a thought out character development track that I want to go on, things happen, and then it doesn't happen, and then I have to rewrite my character anyway, and then I'm like, oh, well. So,
I do pretty much the same thing. I like to stay flexible and let things happen so that I can react to them rather than get depressed or disappointed in them.
Yeah. So I don't have much written for Kasji at this point. I do know that, like, I did want to kind of make, like, I know she's a royal, I know she's traveling, she is a stars druid, so she is, like, doing the whole family checking out of the island, getting to know her people types of things more. I'm hoping, like, I still don't even have a voice for her yet, but I'm hoping to give her kind of more of, like, a Princess Mononoke type feel, you know, like one with nature but, like, serious about it, as opposed to, like, some of my flippant druids of other things. But we'll see if that happens. We'll see if the dice allow that. We'll see.
Right. Nothing runs a serious character faster than the dice.
Right. So yeah, that's... I'm going to take off my glasses. That's where I am for now. Just kind of in regards to... I don't know. I know what I have been told. I know what I have...
Reminds me, we should have talked about your family a bit more.
Eventually, and, like, I'll be taking notes through all of this as well, but I don't have a lot based on her now, and that's kind of what I was hoping today might be a little bit more about in regards to like, hey, let's see if I can figure out who she is.
Sure.
Let's see if we can figure out more about her family.
We can absolutely get to the festival more next session too. There's no timeline on this. No time limit, rather. We can do everything as we please.
And then it's always fun to just kind of look at myself on camera and be like, oh gosh, I need to walk more. And oh my god, I should actually maybe consider wearing makeup so that I don't look like...
Well, tell me about it.
But, you know...
I spent like half an hour looking for makeup, and then I was like, oh, I spent so long looking for it, now I don't have time to put it on.
Yeah. No, there's definitely that, and then there's, you know... So I could definitely do with some eye something for sure. It's like, I don't have eyes right now. Anyway, that was going off of track.
We'll do that a lot, I'm sure.
Probably, yeah. But yeah, so what I've got right now, and this is like pretty much what I've got right now, is I've got her character art. I drew her picture, so I have an idea of like where she's going from, what she's doing. Is that on the screen right now? Like her character art-ish sort of is, you know, it's like not the full picture, but like her little card was on the screen for a second while I was talking about it. And it like, that's the other thing, is like this is like a nice little technical thing. It's like bouncing back and forth, so you can see Kasji's little note card right now, and then every so often you'll see, was it Aster? Is that what we named him? Asher. Aster is your fairy. But Asher is her companion, her little construct. Essentially a plant. What did we decide? I thought we said he was a tree, basically. He's a tree. Like Groot, but more communicative than Groot. But like basically a treant. Okay, so Asher's a treant, and as a treant, I want to I need to figure out like what species of treant, you know. Well, his name would suggest. I don't care about what his name suggests. I mean, that was why I suggested his name, but if you don't want to go with that, that's fine too. I kind of want like completely opposite, because, you know, the whole stars theme, the galaxy theme, but I kind of half wanted a giant sunflower. We can do that too. Just I'm fine with that. Around being a sunflower. Or maybe. Yeah. Or maybe we'll like a conscious lily. Lilies don't get very big. But we could. I could have a giant lily. Or, you know, maybe I'm thinking of like Plants vs. Zombies and like little sunflowers that kind of like hop around there right now. So I'm like, no, for sure. I like the idea of the sunflower. I think that'd be cool. Yeah. All bright and sunny. Bright and sunny, complete opposite. Well, not. I mean, like, I don't know. Kasji's pretty bright with her coloring to the most part too. But yeah, sunflower could be fun. Keep in mind, the main point was that Asher was intended to be a more durable sort of tank, since you're going to be playing a Circle of the Stars druid. Maybe a rose bush then with thorns. I do like that. That's a good one. And we can reflavor the melee attack is like a thorn whip. Yeah. And the ranged attack is just flinging thorns. I think the ranged attack would be the thorn whip. Well, it's got the range of a bow. If we want, we can just scrap that and have it be a much smaller range, but... Yeah. We can figure that out. Yeah, stats can be figured out later. Yeah. I think Rosebush would be good as well. That could be good. I don't know, just about anything can work. Okay. But yeah, talking through a lot of that fun stuff, that's kind of the plan, because I'm terrible. And then, if we are trying to get into the idea of a possible voice, because I haven't had a chance to really talk as her just yet. Yeah. And this is the first voice that's kind of coming to mind right now, something a little bit more subdued. Thoughts? How's it feel? Not entirely. Is it easy to call upon? I'm not entirely sure yet. It is certainly something to think about, but I'm hoping that she is a little bit more measured than most of my other druids have been.
They're a bit,
So having
they're a bit energetic, aren't they?
just a little bit, and so
Quirky with a capital Q.
having a voice that I worry that I'm a little bit too halting with it at the moment, but I am wanting to have something with kind of a slower cadence to it. Something thoughtful, something
Deliberate.
that she is happy to take her time explaining things because it's worth explaining.
Sure. Basically only uses exactly the words she needs to rather than talking extraneously for like 30 seconds straight.
Are
Shout out to
you...
Felicity.
I was gonna say...
And you as a person?
That's gonna be hard for me just as a person to... But perhaps that is why she is able to speak a little bit more slowly. Because she takes the time to think about the proper words. And, the hard part is finding the correct spacing of her speaking, because I don't want it to seem too formulaic. But a slower rate of speech. A more...
I think something that'll help with developing her personality might be figuring out how she feels about her family and what she is, what she's expected to do.
I believe that is something that will have to be figured out as we figure out more of who her family is. And
oh, good.
What she's
I definitely
used
have
to do.
lots of stuff written about that.
Oh yes, I'm sure you have lots of stuff written about that.
My brain is a terrible, terrible place.
As your brain just kind of goes... There we go. Now we've got something.
All right, so why don't we roll for how many relatives? No.
Well then, first roll of the day. Let's see how many relatives I've got. I don't even know if the roll is even showing up on
let's
the stream
let's
real quick.
prune family tree. Why don't we?
Roll for family. Let me make sure.
I mean, honestly, there are a whole bunch of them tables for backstory generation in Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
I'm not sure.
They're pretty neat. I never rely on them because
That's better. Okay.
I kind of subscribe to the idea that when you're rolling dice or flipping a coin or whatever to figure out what you want, you'll usually figure out what you want before the number comes up. Like, it's not actually about the number. It's not actually about how it rolls. It's about, like, being forced to make a decision.
I think that's a bit fair in regards, like, it's not about what you roll. It's about, are you happy with what this is? And if you're not happy with what it is, what would you like to change about it?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm down with that. It's like, okay, that's good. Okay, so that's... I messed with the wrong thing over here, and now I'm trying to, like, fix the map on the screen to make it pretty again.
Oh, no.
I know.
Did I ruin something?
No, I did.
Okay. As long as it's
long
not
as
my
you,
fault.
right?
I mean...
No, I get it.
I'm allowed to be relieved that I didn't screw something up.
I suppose, fine. It's not bad as it is right now. I just like it to be a little bit better.
Sure.
Come on.
While you're fiddling with that, I can talk a little bit more about the world at large as well.
That'd be great.
Drake is one of the nations in the world of Iodrarune. Oh, that is a bit rough to pronounce sometimes. It's been a while since I've said it out loud.
Well,
anyway,
it's the double R's. Iodrarune.
Yeah. It's the D-R-A-R. Like,
Yeah.
that is just a rough collection of sounds.
Drar. Yeah.
You keep wanting to cut one of them out. Anyway, Iodrarune. It's a world normal in most respects, with all of the things that you would expect. Forests and deserts and frozen wastelands and magic and people and so on. However, more than 1,500 years ago, though exact numbers are unknown to the
Arbitrary. Yeah.
people of Iodrarune. Um, the world was considerably less magical. The people that were here were unconnected to gods or magic or anything to do with other planes, unlike most D&D worlds, and indeed unlike the way the world currently is. Then a terrible cataclysm happened, something that is most commonly referred to as the planar crash, to most inhabitants of Iodrarune that know about it. Um, in an instant, or at least what people felt was an instant, um, portals leading to every other plane opened in various places around the world, and creatures and various entities like gods and demons started pouring through, threatening annihilation to the people that lived on Iodrarune at the time. Um, this period was a period of intense war and fighting as people came to grips with power that they didn't understand and had never experienced before. And magic of varying kinds was suddenly everywhere. Um, this time was a period of very little record keeping or culture building, and has come to be known as the Dark Ages. It's still unknown to most people what ended the Dark Ages, what caused the most of the portals that were opened from the planar crash to close. But once it did, a new age dawned for the planet, and people started moving on. Not everyone, of course, was content to live and let live with these extraplanar creatures, but eventually, for the most part, a sort of peace was reached, and people moved on. People started worshiping these gods, or sometimes these other entities like demons and so forth, and the world as it exists today, with its magic and myriad of races and outlandish magical creatures, came to be. I forgot what I was going to say next. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought.
No, it's good.
This event, the closing of the portals and the propelling into the next age, is regularly commemorated and celebrated by the people of Iodrarune as the Festival of Doors, which is where our campaign will be starting once we get to it. Bless you.
Thank you.
The Festival of Doors, and there are several festivals that Iodrarune celebrates, with other smaller festivals being regionally specific, but there are 3 in particular that are celebrated by most of the world. And we'll get into them as we get to them, but the Festival of Doors is typically 2, maybe 3 days of celebrating. Typically, the first day will be a carnival of sorts with games and prizes and food. And then the second day is typically a performance of some sort, and or a sort of choreographed, costumed fight that commemorates the closing of the portals, or the doors, as it were. And this is celebrated as a sort of New Year's festival for the planet, for the world of Iodrarune. It's mostly good-natured. There are probably some places where it's like where it has a sort of, yeah, good riddance to them sort of vibe, but for the most part, it's a positive celebration. People that are touched by the Feywild or the Celestial Planes or the Nine Hells are everywhere on Iodrarune, with a myriad of roles in society and a myriad of social expectations. So it's rare-ish to find people that are openly hostile towards people that are magical in nature. There are some places where they're not welcome or are actively targeted, but thankfully that is not where our game is set. Uh, Call me crazy, but I like my escapism. um, but yeah, the Festival of Doors, which will be what we'll be getting into once we actually do start playing, is commemorating that event and it marks the new year each year for the world of Iodrarune. For reference, the year we're starting in is 1201, we'll say. This means more to you than it will to anyone watching, but that puts us at about 300 years before the current timeline on the server.
Oh, by the way, there's a server.
Which does mean that assuming you go all the way to level 20 as a druid, your character could still be alive in the present day. Because druids don't age.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like much slower. I don't know that you're I haven't looked at druid levels in a while. The point is, you would be extraordinarily long-lived and could probably show up at the school as an NPC, provided you don't die.
Provided I don't die.
Which Asher is there to help make sure that doesn't happen.
Die. Or at least assist in my not dying.
Hopefully we won't get to that for a while. I don't want to get to that too quickly.
Fair.
Knowing how the dice feel about you, though.
Like, well, may as well start rolling up a new character now.
Just keep D&D Beyond open in the background. Not sponsored, by the way. Keep D&D Beyond open in the background and, be ready to hit the random button.
Random character, go. I mean, I'll be quite frank with you. It's like part of the reason why I don't generally have backstories for my characters up front is because of that. Because my roles tend to suck. And it's like, okay, well, rather than spend hours building something that doesn't actually affect this character, let's see if they live a couple sessions first.
Well, spoiler alert, the name of the stream means something. So
it does?
Hopefully, though, like I said, we won't have to find out what too soon.
I mean, it's a very, very cryptic name of this series, so I'm not entirely sure what it could be.
I have devious plans and story reasons for things. I am not so lazy a writer that I would just give you free not dying, but like there are things. I have things in mind.
Okay.
Trust me.
I do.
Or don't. I mean,
I don't.
If you don't, it'd be weird to do this with me, but
one or the other, do it.
Who am I to judge you?
Little things.
Yeah. I don't know. I've hit a bit of a spot. How do you want to decide your family?
I mean,
What do you want 100 for relatives? No.
I mean, like, what sort of, like... I mean, assuming that I'm coming from a royal lineage, which I am definitely the oldest and at the moment only child.
We need to talk about your star map at some point as well.
That would be an important thing, too. Because I've got, like, my little thing.
Your little dongle.
My thing.
Your attachment. The thing that's sold separately for your doll. I mean...
Yes. What was I going for there? I forget. I had a thought and I lost it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, so relatives. Assuming that I'm a noble, assuming that I come from like a royal lineage, assuming that I come from like a fairly small island, Ish.
The smaller of the two, I think.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've looked at the map.
Would I be rolling for relatives in regards to like cousins,
surviving
aunts,
relatives,
uncles, other people in line? People who might be trying to kill me so that they can take over? What am I looking for?
So there aren't a lot of there aren't a lot of disputes for the thrones um of Drake at the moment. It's a fairly isolated nation. It sees tourism and trade with the rest of the world, but it isn't terribly involved with goings on in Iodrarune. It's kind of isolated. It keeps to itself and focuses on itself. That actually reminds me of something else I wanted to talk about. Thank you. Something relevant. So the world is divided into a handful of continents, as one might expect. And they're mostly political alignments. They're sort of tied to natural boundaries as well, like mountains, rivers, valleys, etc. But they're mostly political alignments. And the nation of Drake is presently unaligned with such. It is near the continent of Clayea, which is presided over by a council of sorts called the Clayea Concord. And they've been wanting Drake to join the collective, the Concord, for a long time, but the nation has stayed stubbornly, they might say, out of those affairs and has very firmly decided against joining. The Igni family is dwarvish, by the way. Just checking on those notes. Anyway, there isn't a lot of arguing on that note. Some people are in favor of it. Some people think it wouldn't make a difference, so they don't really care. And some people are adamant about staying the way they are because people generally enjoy their life.
People don't like change, you know? Change is scary.
Change is scary, even if it's positive.
Yep.
Most of the people that are against it, that are firmly against it, are because they're worried that the Clayea Concord will bring a measure of extraneous control. And they're not interested in having the nation be, in any sense, controlled by other people. It's not so much in a like xenophobia kind of way. It's just like in a, we got a good thing going, we don't want to ruin it kind of way. You know what I mean? But yeah, there, as far as within the country, there isn't a lot of strife toward the royal families, as far as you would know. But to this point, you have not ventured much outside of the city of Dragonhead. You have been mostly tutored and trained from within the city. And that's pretty typical because, again, the traveling the country is a sort of rite of passage that you undergo as an adult once you've reached a certain point in your training. Which is code for once you've picked a subclass. But yeah, we started at level 3, by the way, and we are using the sidekick rules for the aforementioned NPC Asher.
At least right now, right?
I think it'll be easiest to just stick with that because they're much simpler than regular class levels.
That they are. And I know
and they still provide things like ASIs and stuff. So
I know that we had discussed like possible different things and like just kind of seeing where it goes from there. So it's kind of like, okay.
I'm inclined to err on the side of simplicity.
Okay.
I want to have fun.
You want to have fun?
I don't know. What's with that? What's with your voice?
I don't know. It's like, why do you want to have fun? It's almost like it's a game. What's up with that?
I mean, this is like our unwind a little bit and have fun kind of stream. We're not here to be making our jobs harder, our lives harder. Anyway,
I don't know about you. It's like I obviously missed that memo. I thought that this was supposed to be pain and suffering the entire time.
Oh no, it's gonna be that regardless.
Oh, okay. I did not miss
the memo. We can't stop that.
Okay.
But we can maybe lessen it a little.
We can still make it fun without the pain and the suffering.
I mean, deliberately putting yourself in front of the internet is never a painless experience.
This
but
is true. That's the whole like eye thing. Like, I've got to put on eye makeup. I should go find eyelashes, something. Definitely need to hit the treadmill a little bit more.
My entire life. Um,
But
quick
it's
side note: you might actually recognize either of us from an ill-fated, short-lived stream. A number of how long ago was that?
mm-mm.
Oh, I'm being told that I'm not allowed to name drop. Um,
Not that one. Oh wait, no. Okay, that one's
you're
okay.
you're thinking of a
I was
different
thinking,
one.
yeah. I was like,
You're thinking of the bad
I was
one.
thinking of the bad one. Like,
No, no,
mm-mm.
no. Oh Lord, it was like almost 2 years ago now, wasn't it?
I think it was even
Um,
more than that. Was it? It's
I
just
don't
2
know.
years.
Facebook Memories popped up a while ago. I think it was 2 years.
Okay.
Maybe only one. No, two. Two,
I mean, it was
definitely
definitely
two
more
for
than one.
yeah. It's like two-ish.
Okay.
Um, a couple years ago, we were a part of a stream called Maiden Voyage. You can find its episodes on YouTube still. We were both players in a campaign set in the Feywild. I was a timid lore bard by the name of Rin. She liked books.
Yeah. And I played my total death cleric who liked cookies. She liked cookies. She still likes cookies. Nothing's changed there. Cookies are good.
Yes.
I don't think we showed
anyway,
our
more
faces there or anything, though. I think it was just voice.
no, it was just voice, but you know. Anyway, back to the topic of this stream. I don't remember what I was gonna say. I was like, yeah, let's divert the topic back, and then I was like, ooh. I don't know. Do you have any questions? I'm better at answering questions than I am
Well, I mean,
starting
like we were
topics.
talking about family, and we were talking about what we were gonna do. Like, am I
Oh, yes.
looking at like, are my rolling like? I don't have siblings at this point. That's been established.
Mhm.
But do I have cousins? Do I have aunts and uncles that I need to roll for? There's no real desire to take over leadership, but what does my family tree look like? Am I going to be like circling the country to go meet them all and just kind of like introduce myself, so like, hey, future queen, what's up? Or like, what's the deal?
That is a really good question. I would say just because of the nature of like marriages and stuff, there are probably some aunts and uncles in places. I haven't written them yet, so we
That's
can talk
fine.
about that after the stream probably. But
Well, that's also the purpose of this whole session 02 is just kind of like, hey, it's
I mean the more specific parts of this.
I want like details. I want everything written out. I want it perfect. Why is it not
I can
perfect
pull up
yet?
a list of baby names if you'd like.
I just came up with this like 30 seconds ago. Why isn't it fleshed out?
Flashbacks. Anyway, I would say you probably would have aunts and uncles just because of marriage and people having existing family structures. As far as immediate family that you would have like grown up around, probably like mother, father, and then maybe their mothers and fathers, or at least for a little while.
So like grandparents.
Yeah, like your grandparents and stuff. Yeah, the passage of rule, as it were, isn't strictly there's no gender aspect to it. It's just the oldest child. And even the name might change and has been different over the years, just because of people not wanting to take a partner's name after marriage, or yeah. So names are weird. Gender is not relevant, simply put. You probably do have some extended family elsewhere in the continent or in the city of Dragonhead, or not continent, but country.
I suppose,
actually, that
do we
one might
have the
be-
map that we can like pull up on the screen?
Maybe somewhere. It's on Discord if you wanted to do that. I'm worried if
People-
I start up Discord, my computer will freeze. But
Well, I don't put it on Discord because people can't see Discord, but they can.
well, you
see-
could share screen.
No, because then that screws everything up. I can't share a screen.
Well, you could add it to
Yeah,
the...
we talked about like trying to set that up before, but like sharing screen just like bleh, makes everything go disgusting. So
Fair enough.
like uploading things to Roll20 is an option, but sharing screen is not.
Give me a moment.
Although I suppose I could create a new scene for screen sharing and shift to that for the future. But
We'll mess with that when we're not actually streaming.
I suppose. Fine.
There's no need to make things more complicated on ourselves than we already are. I thought I had uploaded it to Roll20 already, but I guess not.
Let's see. If I go into... I see the city of Dragonhead.
I have that one version of the map that doesn't have anything marked out.
Do you?
Give me a second. It's got dots, but it doesn't have any like words on it. So let me just upload that to.
I've got a map.
Aspect ratios are hard.
Yeah.
It like snapped to a single grid space,
Sounds about
and then we
right.
got to figure out the
Oh,
right
you just-
level of like distortion.
Okay, there you go, where it says grid. Nice. And I've got... I can do this too. Oh, that's pretty. Very nice. Blue.
Damn it. I mean, darn it. Not cursing is hard.
We're trying to be good,
I'm not good at being good.
but we're trying.
Okay, so yeah. This, don't worry about that. That city map's probably going to change at some point in the near future.
Okay. But it's all pretty. It's like
The exact... I like it too. I just want to make it look more like an actual map.
It's a little. It's fine.
The exact layout of the city of Dragonhead isn't terribly important either.
I'm shifting it over so people can kind of see it a little bit.
I'm gonna bop the big map back to the map layer so I can ping things without it being weird on me. So yeah, is this currently streaming?
Yes.
This screen? Okay.
I'm just making it slightly.
This is the island of Celeste, dominated by a volcano or a dormant volcano that's not presently shown on the map because I am still a novice at map drawing.
We're working on it. I think it looks great.
This lake in the center was created in the caldera of the dormant volcano, and these rivers were carved out through druidic magic long ago, just as solid sources of fresh water for the island. This big old dot right here is the city of Dragonhead and is the capital of Celeste.
Which big old dot? Oh, that big old dot. Okay.
These are smaller cities. They have names, definitely.
Yeah, they totally have
you
names.
Find them out at
yeah.
some point.
I'm confident we're gonna find out those names.
I mean, the map of the island is basically going to be a checklist of objectives over the course of the campaign. So, I have rough ideas. I just don't have them written down yet.
No, that's totally fair.
But and there are islands around that are part of the Nation of Drayk but aren't part of the main land masses. This big old chunk of an island is Quar, with the capital city Dragonstone right here,
So
where the river splits. Oh yeah, I forgot I did a little island city here in the middle of this big old lake. Can't wait to find out what that's about.
right, that's gonna be interesting. So basically, like Kasji, if I were to move her around, is she part of this itty bitty tiny off island, or is she like?
No.
She's here.
Right here.
So like, that's her big thing right there.
Yes.
Okay. So she's kind of like.
This is the city of Dragonhead.
So that's her city. That's her part of the island, and this one over here. This is like the Dorvish area.
The city of Dragonstone is led by the Igni family, Igne.
IGNE, And then the
like short for igneous.
no, that makes sense. And then the Igni family, we've got a cool little alliance going on with them. We
Sort of,
rule
yeah.
together.
Yeah, so the cities of Dragonhead and Dragonstone are sort of opposites and complementary of each other.
Okay.
Dragonhead is this very natural sort of city that seems like it grew out of the island itself.
Okay.
Several buildings are fashioned from living trees, and it's very, very steeped in the natural layout of the island. Meanwhile, Dragonstone is a sort of monolith of steel and marble, and is very, very much more regimented than Dragonhead is. Because Quar is primarily like industry and mining and military, a lot of it is much more specific.
Okay.
Dragonhead and the Island of Celeste is much more magical in its intention and in its sort of culture, I guess you could say. So it's a lot freer with it. And we'll explore more of that as we get into the nitty-gritty of things. But the crux of it is Celeste, the Island of Celeste and the city of Dragonhead are all about magic and other planes, and is the socio-political head, as it were, of the Nation of Drayk. And Dragonstone and the Igni family and the island of Quar is the military and industrial side of things. A lot of this space is like things like quarries and mines and various what's the word I'm looking for? Towns that are centered around what they do. Bleh. Words are hard.
Words are hard.
Who decided I should be the DM? That was a bad idea. No,
No, it's a great idea. How do you get better if you don't practice? Come on.
Oh yeah, I just have to practice in front of literally everybody. It's
There's
fine.
nobody here. We're fine.
Nobody here because we haven't told anyone yet.
And
Give it a minute.
that's done on purpose. We'll
Um,
eventually get to the point where like, okay, now we know what we're doing. Now we can invite people, and then they can go back and they can watch these bloopers and be like, oh, wow, you guys were weird. I'm like, yeah, we know.
Yeah. Bloopers. That's.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will get to Quar at some point, I'm sure. This channel between the two islands serves as a sort of natural barrier, and is these cities that are close to this channel tend to be very large trading hubs
Makes sense.
between the two islands and for the rest of the world. I need to figure out the exact scale of this island at some point,
Yeah,
but
we can figure that out later.
well, like I said before, I intend to get like a nice map made of it that looks like an actual map instead of
I still
definitely
think
not done in MS Paint.
This looks great. This looks great. It's
Thank you.
wonderful. It's awesome.
It will suffice.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I meant to prepare so much more than this.
Well, that's part of what a session 0 is for too. Is just kind of like, okay, I think I have this. I think I can wing this. I can't wing this. What am I doing? So like that, all that's great.
Winging things I should not wing is a consistent trait of mine.
But it's okay because we are definitely like, this is a session 0. It's supposed to be figuring things out. It's supposed to be winging things and realizing, okay, what am I still missing? So that
True.
you've got that already like under control before you have to go in and feel like you have to like properly perform.
This is true.
You're good.
Thanks. So, we are nearing the end of our hour. What else do you want to talk about?
Well, what else do you feel like we need to discuss? What else, like, I guess that was one thing that's worth mentioning is that, like, we are hoping to kind of make this a more bite-sized
Oh yeah.
session every week, 60 to 90 minutes. So
Yeah.
not ridiculously long.
Well, a big part of that reason is that, I mean, it's a single player campaign. It's really easy to fill a 3, 4, etc. hour time slot when you're dealing with, 4, 5, 7 people.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to fill time because there are a lot more characters to bounce off of each other and a lot more things to keep track of during things like combat. I don't want to pressure either of us to try to fill 3 hours
I
by
appreciate
ourselves.
that because I would probably go a little insane.
I think it would make us resentful of the game very quickly if we forced ourselves into that kind of situation.
Yeah.
And I don't want that.
It's like, and there's a lot that can be done. It's like I run a lot of 45 to 90-minute games, even with larger groups.
Mm.
It's hard, but it can be done. And there's something to be said about having to like organize and be a little bit more specific. Like, okay, I've only got this amount of time, so I need to prepare for this beforehand because I've only got X amount of time to work with. And I like that. We've also discussed the possibility, we're not doing it yet, and we might not do it ever, but we've discussed the possibility of possibly bringing in another person at some point if things warrant it. But we're not.
It'll depend on how the story is unfolding and if we
Yeah.
find anyone who has the right availability and meshes well with both of us and so on.
Etc., etc.
I do like the thought rather a lot, but I don't want to pressure us to do that or not to do it for that matter.
And I bring
What is
it
the
up just so
good
that it's
news?
kind of like listed here, but
Mhm.
it could go either way. So
The crux of this as a stream, as a game, is that it is a game.
Yeah.
We're doing this for the fun, for something that both of us can enjoy. Tiff gets stuck in Forever DM a lot. I pretty much never DM, especially not live games. So this is a way for both of us to do something that neither of us gets to do very often. And we're streaming it because why not?
Yeah.
A large part of it's to keep us accountable because it's very, very easy for both of us to cancel plans. But if we feel like we can't cancel, we won't.
Well, there's the difference between doing something because of an outside expectation and doing something because we have free time and I could use that free time in a variety of ways. And so we just kind of wanted to make this an outside expectation so that we would be more accountable to it. Because,
You know what my favorite pastime is? Spending all of my free time worried that I'm spending free time and not working on the things that I need to work on. That's my favorite pastime. I do that a lot.
Yes. It's that idea of like, I have so many things to work on that I'm paralyzed for choice, and so I don't do anything. And then a day passes, and I'm like, well, crap, I didn't do anything. And then I feel even worse because, I didn't get to relax. I didn't get to do anything.
And then you're like,
I didn't get anything done. It was like, well, I'm
yeah,
older now.
and then someone's like, hey, taking a day to rest is healthy and normal and you should do it. And you're like,
but
yeah,
you
but
didn't rest.
I didn't rest. I
So
didn't
it's like,
relax. I
that's-
worried. I
I
spent the
know.
whole time worrying. It's rough.
No, and it's like one of those lovely things. I've talked about this a little bit before, but like back over our Christmas break or whatever, we had 2 weeks, and like I spent 1 week doing nothing. Literally spent 1 week doing nothing before I could do anything.
For sure.
And I needed that week to do nothing and being okay doing nothing, but I also needed that week that I could do something.
Mm-hmm.
So that I could actually like rebuild that battery, because I feel like a lot of people right now are just exhausted.
It's exhausting.
It is
Everything's
exhausting.
right
Everyone,
now.
yeah, like everyone's just exhausted. Everyone's exhausted. Like life is crazy. Life is weird. You want to do something, but you also want to rest, and so you get caught in that cycle that we were just talking about of like, I need to do something, but it's okay to rest. But if I'm resting, I'm not doing something, and then you're not resting, and you're still not doing something, and neither of those get done. So, I guess
It's just rough. It's
it
just
is-
rough all around.
it's rough all around right now, and like, permission for everybody to give yourself a day to do nothing. Just do nothing. But give yourself permission to do nothing. Be like, today I'm going to do nothing. I'm not going to worry about anything because this is my day to do nothing. I think that's the only way you can actually rest.
It's easier said than done, though,
Oh yeah.
and both of us are intimately aware of that fact.
It's much easier said than done, and it's a lot easier to do if you have multiple days that you can pull from to do that.
Hmm.
You know, if you only have Saturday and Sunday, and then you put one of those aside to do nothing, it's really hard because you've given up half of your time to do nothing, and then you're like, oh well.
It's especially worse if, like, you put all of your chores into those days because you work all the time and you don't have time to do
Yep.
them. So you're like, oh, great.
Well, all
I
of your
didn't do any of the things I need to do.
all the things that you need to do, and then all the things that you want to do, and then you've worked, so you have like all these social obligations you need to like try and fulfill and try to be like, oh yeah, I remember you exist. I still like you. I still think you're a good person. I'm just busy.
Promise I know about you.
I promise. It's like I haven't seen you in months, years, but you're cool. Um, yeah.
All
So,
right.
yeah.
Well,
So I guess we're trying to keep this on that whole like 60 to 90-minute timetable so that we have bite-sized things. We're trying to keep it, and this is kind of like, we both curse. It's a thing. But we're trying to keep it open to pretty much everybody. The content, like you were saying that the content was going to be something that might still be a little bit more mature. Nothing that is overtly graphic or overtly sexual, but it still
I'm
might
not
be.
aiming for dark fantasy, but
Yeah.
anytime you're talking about a fantasy story, there are going to be themes of like war and, you know, evil of varying kinds and so on. And I don't ever want that to get any worse, as it were, than implication.
Yeah.
Just because
It's not fun to go too.
it's not fun.
Yeah.
That's the crux of it. I don't want either of us to walk away from something depressed or angry. I mean, maybe angry at the dice, the
It's like
stupid,
always
stupid
angry
dice.
at the dice.
But like
This is supposed to
this
be kind of like more of a light-hearted epic tale and not a dark, deep fantasy.
high fantasy. This is
High
high
fantasy.
fantasy in its truest sense. It's magic and wonder and excitement and travel. It's not grit. Not that there's anything wrong with grim, dark, and gritty.
Well, I've got plenty
Everyone
of
likes
campaigns
their
that do the
thing.
grim, dark, and gritty, and I enjoy it in that context as well. But this is meant to be.
I can't spend much time there. It tends to wear on me very, very quickly. But I totally get that it's a thing, and I wish no one ill for enjoying it. But
That's just not this.
exactly.
And we
So
might
yeah,
we might eventually. It might not be you and I, but like we might eventually do something with a darker spin to it separately from this. But that's not what this is. This is a high fantasy, travel, wonder, magic, exploration, fun, with evil interspersed in there, but fighting the evil, not being overcome by it.
the most important aspect of fantasy is not the idea that monsters are real. It's that they can be beaten.
Yes.
I stole that from someone. I want to say Neil Gaiman. Not sure for if that's true or not,
But
but
it's a great quote, whoever said it.
I definitely plagiarized and paraphrased it. But you get my point. Fantasy is about winning against the monsters, and that's the value that it has.
The monsters exist. They're scary. They're real. But they are beatable. They are defeatable. Cool. All right. So, shorter sessions, high fantasy, trying to be inclusive of most age ranges on the caveat that it is still a high fantasy and there is still scary evil stuff, but that's not the focus of this.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we may not always be doing this campaign either. From time to time, we might have one-shots or diversions, but we'll find out. We will carry on. Yeah.
Cool.
Quick shout out before we end the session. The music that you are hopefully hearing, I got from someone you can find on YouTube, named Iodrarune, EANGRIMM. His website is tubersongs.com, TUBERSONGS.com. The stuff that he puts there, you can pay for if you have the money and are so willing, or you can download it for free, and all of it comes with blanket approval to use however you wish, um, with or without, what's the word I'm looking for?
Accreditation?
Yeah, or attribution.
Attribution. There you go. One that yeah.
But of course, I'm attributing it because I want to.
Well, and that's a good thing to do too. It's like somebody who's actually taking their time to give something so freely. I think it should be attributed. And
absolutely.
if they're not on our credit screen, because I do want to test our credit screen when we're like doing our sign off. If they're not there, we need to add them there for sure.
I don't remember if I even added my information to the credit screen.
Well, this is a good thing. Like, part of what this is also is still, it's like it's our session 0, so not technically our test run. It's more like our like dress rehearsal, I guess, kind of, sort of. But it's just to make sure that everything's running more or less the way that we want it to run, and kind of going from there. So, I feel like this has been good. Is there anything else that you specifically wanted to kind of do?
Not at the moment.
Very cool.
You and I need to chat about Kasji's family, but
we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to get this going in a happy spot. Like, I wish I could figure out a way to get this to be like consistently the size that I want it to be, and save it to those spots. That would
dimensions.
be perfect.
Yeah.
Especially as we shift from dimension to dimension. But it is what it is. It's fine. It's not that big a deal. Maybe I could just open up like a second Roll20 window. I don't know. Anyway. Well, I think that this is a good spot to just kind of sign off for today.
Yeah. No, I think we'd made good progress. We'll have an idea of where we're picking up next week. That's the other thing. This is intended to be a weekly stream.
Yes.
Life is chaotic, so it may be from time to time we might skip a week, but in general, this is supposed to be a weekly stream. Should be at about this time.
About this time, about this long. Every week, occasionally. Like, I feel like if we're going to be doing, we might be doing other campaigns or one-shots, but they'd probably be on different days. We're going to try to keep this one.
We'll see what happens. It'll depend on various things, but the crux of it is that 12 o'clock Pacific every Sunday should be plot armor.
Ta-da!
Single player campaign.
Single player campaign. All right. Well, I'll chat with you back on Discord then, and we can. I'll shift this to the credit screen for a few minutes so that that's doing its thing, and see people next week.
Yes.
All right.
Of course.
Bye, people.
Bye.